Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel, I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Welcome to the weekly garden vlog. Today, we're going to be doing something we do almost every single week, and that is uppotting some plants. Today, we're going to be uppotting a lot of plants. Our last frost date was supposed to be the 1st. We frosted last night. Today is the 11th. So on the evening of the 10th, we had a very light frost, but a frost nonetheless. So I'm really glad that I have not planted all of these. These are the tomatoes that we uppotted 2 weeks ago. Can you believe how, seriously, changing out the plastic on my greenhouse was probably one of the better things I've ever done on my homestead. If you're interested in that, I will post the video up here. These things, just look at these. They're gigantic. And I need to put a fan in there. I keep threatening to put a fan in there, but I haven't. So I could get thicker stalks, but they're still pretty decent. They're pretty tough stalks. So I don't have to transplant or uppot these tomatoes, but I need these pots. I'm out of the 2-inch pots. 2.5 inch? I think these are 2.5 inch. Anyways, and I need to uppot my tomatoes, or my potatoes. I need to uppot my peppers. Okay, I'll show you why. So you can see here, this is my entire tray of peppers. And this is all the peppers that I have. I haven't done any more. And this little bit over here is tomatillos. So what happened with these, my tower of lights and the shelves, whatever you want to call it, the grow station that I have set up is right next to the fireplace. And so I have to be very vigilant about making sure that I water my starts whenever the fireplace has been running, because it dries out very quickly. I had noticed like 2 days ago that it was starting to get a little bit dry and they were starting to get kind of droopy, and I was like, okay, I need to make sure I water those, and I totally spaced it. And my husband actually found these last night, and they were looking pretty sad. If I have the picture of it, I will insert it here, but it was pretty bad. But most of these survived. You can see lush, beautiful greenery, and they came back. But some of them, like the jalapenos and what are some of the other ones? This one, Buena Malata, half of those came back, half of them didn't. Then we have some Zartag. I don't know what that is. Oh, a jalapeno. These are all jalapenos right here. The jalapenos are surprisingly not resilient. Almost all the varieties of jalapenos died completely. And then we have, what is this? The cherry bomb peppers. Those are self-save seeds, and the cayenne peppers. Those are the ones that got hit the worst, as well as all the tomatillos. So we're gonna uppot the tomato. Oh, goodness gracious! Again with that, we're gonna uppot the peppers, and we have to uppot the tomatoes because we're out of the pots. So we're gonna put the tomatoes in the 3-inch pots, get them another uppotting in there, or potting up, whatever you want to call it, and then we're gonna put the peppers into these pots. So that's part of the game plan for today. Another part of the game plan for today is or for this weekend rather, there's also a bunch of stuff that I need to start out front, or out in the back. I need to start some seeds in the ground out there. A lot of like peas, and I need to get the trellis up and going, and I would like to be able to get the rest of the cabbages that we didn't get to last week in this video. I would like to get those in the ground, and then I'm going to show you what my husband did, which is really awesome. He filled up all of the flower beds that we have down in the fence line, so we can actually plant them. I'm so excited. So let's get on this. I'm not going to show you a tremendous amount of detail. We'll just zoom through this really quick, and then I might end up picking this up tomorrow because this is going to take a really long time. I have a lot of tomatoes that I have to uppot. One thing that I forgot to mention is I'm doing the starting soil a little bit different. I have I have half are my normal starting mix, and then half of it is just like a mixture of garden soil and compost that I put in there. So just kind of more of a filler and something to get it more used to the soil that is going to be planted in here in a couple weeks. Because that is the plan, is to plant all these tomatoes in a couple weeks. Also, for all of you gardeners out there, I would really like your opinion. My plan with the peppers, what we usually do with them is we top them off. So they don't grow super tall, but they kind of bush out, and it's something that my husband's been experimenting with, and it's been working out pretty well. So they don't get super tall, and they don't like overtake things. I'm curious what your opinion or experience is. I'm planning on planting the tomatoes. I'm gonna single stem them. So I'm gonna you know, just train them to go up one stem. I'm not gonna let them bush out or anything like that. And I'm gonna plant them every 2 feet. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on planting a pepper in between those. So planting tomatoes every 2 feet, and then in between those with the 1 foot mark, planting in some peppers just to be able to get some more peppers in the ground, because I don't have a huge amount of space devoted to the peppers. So I would really love your opinion, your experience, or anything like that, because I'm really toying with the idea and I think it's a good one, but I'd like your opinion. As promised, it is the next day here. I ended up getting called in for a long time at work yesterday, and so I got a pretty good chunk of my day taken away from me. But I did end up getting all of the peppers transplanted, all the ones that are still alive, even some of the ones that I thought might be kind of borderline. Yeah, and then I also got 3 of the flats of tomatoes up potted. The plan for the rest of the day today is going to be outside, and we're going to be planting. I have already laid out a bunch of the cabbages and the like kales and cabbages, broccolis, the beets, and lettuce. And then, so what we're gonna do with this box here, okay, so what we're gonna do with the rest of the day today, let me show you real quick here. So this is our weather coming up here. I just don't want to show you where I'm at. But this is the weather here. It is nice, it is bright, it is sunny. It is not even in the 30s overnight, except for tonight. Yeah, tonight is the coldest night, and that's 37 degrees. So we are most likely pretty cleared from frost. And I would say maybe it might freeze tonight, but I don't think that'll have anything to do with planting any kind of beans, because we are in a bit of a kind of a microclimate that does seem to be a little bit cold, especially down the hill a little bit. For some reason, it has its own microclimate. It froze way early last year, only down there. And so anyways, so we're gonna plant some beans as a trial, and I have these big giant packages of them. So, and I want to be able to save some of the seeds from this stuff. So here's my plan. I'm gonna plant a couple trellises of one kind of bean. I don't know if this one is, whichever one is a pole bean, I'm gonna plant that one. And I'm gonna plant them on the trellises. So I'm just gonna plant one kind of bean on trellises, and I'm gonna let them go and flower so that, go to flower and their seed before any of the other beans actually come into fruition. So I'm gonna do it the first of the year. So this year we're gonna be saving whichever one. I have a few in here. I have provider beans, I have soybeans, Kentucky Wonder pole beans. So this is the one I'm going to plant, because I know I bought one bush and one pole. So we're going to plant the Kentucky Wonder pole bean near, underneath the trellises. We're going to let them grow up, and we're going to let them go to seed. I'm going to mark which ones had actually flowered, had actually set fruit. I'm going to mark the ones that had actually set fruit before the other ones start to flower. This one is going to get a couple week head start. So I'm going to see how it goes. I'll bring you guys along. I'll show you how that goes, of course, in the coming, in the coming months, and we can be able to see together how this plan is going to work. I don't know how readily beans will cross-pollinate. I've been told both ways. Some people say yes, most people say no. But so I'm not going to be super crazy about it. Like, I'm not going to isolate it and put it in some kind of a tent or anything like that. But I am going to give it a little bit of a head start so that it has time to actually set seed or set fruit before the other ones start to flower. So hopefully that'll eliminate any kind of cross-pollination. I'd be much more careful with peas, and I probably will start doing that maybe here next year or later on in the season. I think I'm going to try that later on in the season. And I'm just going to plant like one kind of pea in the fall, and we'll see how it goes. Because I really would like to be more self-sufficient with seeds, especially ones that are a little bit easier to save. Another thing that we need to do, if you remember a few weeks back, I think it was 3 weeks, it might be 2 weeks back, but we transplanted kale, and that video will be right about there. And so we transplanted kale. I screwed up. And I thought that being in my greenhouse would be plenty of hardening off for them. And I believe back when I actually transplanted them, they were still in the greenhouse that had the kind of more opaque covering on it before I changed out the plastic. Anyway, at any rate, whatever the case is, it does not appear that it is recovering very well. And it seems to be getting a fair amount, all of them, every single one of them. They're still almost as small as they were when I transplanted them like 3 weeks ago. They don't look dead. They're not like burnt, but I think they're just not thriving as well as they could be. So what I'm going to do is in between each of those kales, they're a foot apart. So at the 6-inch mark, we're going to plant more kale. And so if those ones end up not taking off, hopefully these ones will take off and then we'll still get our kale. I'm hedging my bets. I have a lot of kale seeds, so I'm not super concerned about that. And I should say it's the kale and the Swiss chard. The lettuce seems to be doing just fine for some reason. I don't know why. So we are going to head out. We have our Kentucky Wonder pole beans, our kale, collard, and Swiss chard. We're going to plant these along with, hopefully we'll be able to get in ground the rest of the cabbages, broccoli, cauliflower, beets, lettuce. It's just going to be, we're going to go out there planting for a couple hours. We're just going to hang out and plant. We got all of the starts spread out on the rows where I'd like them to go, and so now I'm just going to put them in the ground. And I did figure out a way to kind of save on some of the supplies, and I basically figured out that one of these actually covers 2 rows. So I'm pretty excited about that one. It might not seem like a huge deal, but for me it kind of is, because that's not half the cost of these row covers. You still have to use the same, I guess it's not half the cost, but it's half the cost for the fabric. I still have to use the same number of these poles, but I mean, it's still going to save money, so I'm pretty excited about that. Figured I'd share that. I got the 10-foot across ones, and so it's enough for both, with a little bit to spare too. So I ended up getting one of my most absolute dreaded projects done, and we got 3 more of these rows planted, and they're all covered. And I did them covered 2 of them with each row cover. And so the next thing that we have is just planting a bunch more stuff in the ground. Okay, but before we do that, we are going to go down to the greenhouse, and I am going to do the first day of hardening off my tomatoes. So I have this shelf that has been taken apart in pieces for a while now. I use it as kind of weights for my tarps and things like that, but I finally put it back together. And so we're just going to stack up the tomatoes on here. It's just right outside the greenhouse. And then in an hour, we'll bring them right back in. So with these larger cucumbers, it is past time. Whoa. Greenhouse door just closed on my head. Let's find a better angle, sorry. Wish I could see. That'd be great. Can't see anything. Sorry, guys. Okay, so with all of these larger sized squashes, I need to pick which one I'm going to keep, because I have 2. I planted 2 in each of these, and some of them 2 sprouted, so I'm just going to pick the healthiest looking one and snip the other one, because I don't want to disturb their roots. They are kind of notorious for being kind of sensitive. So as promised, I have actually gone through, and the ones that are going to be planted in the ground, I did snip off to 1. I don't think I missed any. I tried pretty hard to make sure I got them all. But these ones right here, these are going to be trellised. This is like an Armenian yard long, and these ones are okay if they're planted kind of close together. I'll just make sure that I space a little bit further on the trellis. And these ones are the Armenian yard longs and the loofahs that we planted a very long time ago. These were the first ones, and I'm pretty sure what happened to them is I burned them the first time that I actually applied fertilizer to them. And what I did with the fertilizer is that I mixed it at the regular ratio and sprayed it directly on the leaves. I did not cut it in half, and since I did this, because this happened with a lot of them, it happened to my basil too, I've just decided that I'm only going to bottom water with fertilizer at half strength, and that has served me well since then. So these ones I think are finally ready to give up on. And I'm just gonna salvage the pots because these suck. I changed my mind on the shelf and decided to just put them here along the tarp row cover. Anyways, so that's where they are. And so now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you something really awesome that my husband did for me yesterday. And he filled up the beds. He filled up the flower beds along the edge here. So I'm pretty excited about that. So now we can actually plant in these. I'm so excited. My fence flower box is almost here. All right, so I am ready to wrap up this weekend's worth of gardening and the vlog and everything. And basically what I was able to do is plant a bunch of lettuce over here. And then I did the beans, the climbing beans over here and on this side of the trellis over here. This is the same arch trellis. And I did the same thing on the other side on this trellis on both sides. Then we planted the kale in between each of these, and you can see all the rutabagas and the turnips that we planted a few weeks back are finally starting to sprout, so that's amazing. Didn't put anything here. Same thing over here, planted the kale, and then this one has a bunch of the radishes that came up. And then over here, we planted those beets. I don't know how well they're gonna do. They didn't seem to be thriving too well in that container, but planted them all roughly, I'd say 6 to 9 inches apart. I'd say more like 9. And then I also put all of the starts back into the greenhouse, closed it up, turned the heater on. I don't think it's gonna get too terribly cold tonight, but I don't know what's gonna happen. So I figured it's better safe than sorry with how many starts that we have out there. So big old fluffy bumblebee. I don't like bees. All right. Oh, and then I also installed this trellis. It's a pretty simple, pretty basic. It's just like I think it's called Hordanova, something like that. It's basically just a sturdy plastic trellis. And I installed it just with zip ties on these bamboo trellises. That's pretty much all. And then I planted, oh yeah, one other thing. Planted here. I didn't actually plant any peas because I ran out and I never actually planted them. So I finally did. Planted the peas along this edge here. And I did the Royal Snap 2 from Johnny's. It's basically ones that have green peas on the inside and it's a purple pot on the outside. It's supposed to grow about 2 feet tall. We'll see how it goes. But I'm pretty stoked. So I think that's just about everything that we have for today. So I think that's pretty much everything that we have for today, and I am just ready to call it a night, go inside, relax, maybe do some editing, and get ready for the week to come. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found inspiration, and if you do, please do hit the thumbs up button. Remember to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Bye.